Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the next in our ongoing survey. And this is the last one that's come out so far. So we finally caught up with the SWR Dvořák cycle performed by the Deutsche Radio Philharmonie Saarbrücken Kaiserslautern or something like that. I mean, it's now just the Deutsche Radio Philharmonie. Yes, thank you for shortening the name. I've said that before. And the latest entry is Symphonies 7 and 8 on one disc, conducted by Pietari Inkinen. Really, really well. I mean, these have been marvelous. His piece of the cycle so far, and there are 3 issues. He's done numbers 2, 6, and now 7 and 8. And I presume he's going to do 9. I don't know who's going to do 9. I hope 9 comes out soon. It's been a marvelous Dvořák cycle. Really one of the best, and so well recorded. Now, this particular one features one little recording bauble in the form of a microphone that is too close to somebody. Someone in the comments here said it's a cellist. I don't know how you'd know that, but it's somebody. And in the first minute or two of the 7th Symphony, you hear some heavy breathing and snorting and, you know, the usual stuff. Doesn't particularly bother me, and it goes away as the performance proceeds. So, or at least it's less obtrusive, so it's okay. But the sound generally is absolutely splendid. I mean, just don't listen to it on headphones. I mean, you're in business. At least the first 2 minutes. The performance itself is splendid. It's like the version of the 6th that we heard that I said there's a bigness, an importance. Inkinen conducts this music like it really matters. You know, Dvořák wrote the 7th. He said it's a symphony that must shake the world. He wanted it to be a major statement, and it sounds like a major statement here. It really does. I mean, you know, the climax of the first movement and the coda, it's crushing, absolutely crushing. The bucolic slow movement is deep. It has a depth, a songful seriousness about it that's amazing. The scherzo is like that in the 6th, full of rhythm and fire and energy and I mean, the orchestra really digs. They really dig into it. And the finale can hang fire. It's a tough finale to do. It's a little bit stiff rhythmically. The fault is Dvořák's because he wanted to, you know, make something like heavy duty. And as a result, it can be played rather stiffly. It is not played stiffly here. And the fascinating thing about it is that the lack of stiffness does not come by speeding up, which is what a lot of conductors do in order to prove that it's not as foursquare as the opening theme complex sounds, but actually by taking it at a measured tempo and really, as I said before, hitting the accents, playing hard, you know, making it sound important and big and fiery and passionate, and it's just terrific. Now, the 8th, I mean, is a complete contrast as a work, and so you're not going to give it quite the same, the same amount of seriousness. However, it's one of Dvořák's very greatest works. It was his favorite, one of his most characteristic, and one of his most mold-breaking, because none of the movements are in, you know, what you might call an obvious sort of sonata form kind of thing. The first movement comes closest, but the rest of it, it's a variation work, actually. It's all based on variations of a couple simple motives. And I've said this before. It's so fascinating the more you listen to it. Dvořák was one of the great variation writers, especially in the idea of melodic variations, his ability to shape melodies and motives and you know, have them evolve, you know, throughout a work. And you hear it very, very clearly in this. I mean, the opening little flute thing, do 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 do, becomes the theme of the finale. Dum bum ba da 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 ba da da dum ba. I mean, it's just a little motive in the first movement. It blossoms out into a theme. For the inner movements, you know, the slow movement begins da 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 da, ya da 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 da, dum bum ba do 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 do. That becomes the theme of the third movement. Da 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 da. It's marvelous. And, you know, the more you get to know it, the more, you know, symphonic, I guess. I mean, the more developmental it sounds, but the development happens between movements, not really within them. And over the course of the whole work, it's really an amazing piece. And it's so much fun. And here again, the key is to keep the finale moving and to have a really good time and to make sure that that scherzo section that it does the ending, the dum bum ba da dum ba da dum bum ba da dum ba bum ba da ba da with the horn trills that you can really hear well here, and the bit where it starts to speed up, you know, and then slow down and do all this nifty stuff. I mean, you've just got to let the personality ooze. And I love to hear the final timpani ending. The ending is a timpani solo, believe it or not. I mean, it's not solely because the orchestra is still playing, but it's da dum ba dum bum jugga da jugga da jump timpani ba-dump. And you hear the but-ump. You don't hear it in a lot of performances. I like that little detail. You hear it very well in Kertész with the LSO. That's where I first noticed that it's dump, but-ump. Yes, exactly. And you hear it here. Very, very detailed, fresh, powerful, exciting performances of both works. So that leaves us nothing but the new world to come. And, oh, I have my hopes up. Because if it's as good as the rest of this cycle between Inkinen and Chichon, the two conductors who've done it, then we're going to be in really good shape for a really fine modern Dvořák cycle. That's going to be thrilling. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.